Imagine two people standing in front of a blank wall. One has a dream of building something extraordinary, a legacy, a career, a business, maybe a healthier body. The other has the same dream, the same time, the same tools. But a year later, one person has a structure starting to take place, and the other is still staring at the wall, wondering why they haven't made progress. The difference here is one laid a brick every day, while the other waited for the perfect day to lay their first brick. This scenario is often the difference between those who stay stuck and those who move forward. The people who win, the people who grow, the people who build lives that we dream of, they've mastered the art of the small win. And today I want to show you how that tiny shift in how you think can change everything. Let's start with a lie that is potentially stealing your momentum. Every day you scroll through social media and you see someone new exploding in their career. Someone just lost 50 pounds. Someone just got engaged. Someone just bought a house. This influencer is making $30,000 a month in their new business. And the first thought that hits our mind when we see these things is often, how did they get there? And how long is it going to take for me to do the same? At times, it feels like the successful reach their point at the speed of light. But what you didn't see were the hundreds of small, invisible wins stacked behind that one big post that you're scrolling past. You didn't see the 5 a.m. workouts. You didn't see the journal entries full of doubt. You didn't see the late nights, the unread drafts, the lonely sacrifices. You didn't see the consistent, quiet work that nobody celebrated. Success doesn't come from one giant leap. It comes from 1,000 small intentional steps. And every one of these small steps is a win that is worth acknowledging. Now, when we're talking about small wins, it's important to break down the process so that we understand how it works. When you set a big goal, write a book, run a marathon, grow a business, it's very easy to get overwhelmed. You've experienced it. I've experienced it. And the overwhelmed feeling comes in because you start to think about how far you have to go. But what if you stop trying to leap and just focused on taking the next step? Big goals, they're built brick by brick. And I submit the thought to you that small wins are the bricks. When you finish a draft, when you make a healthy choice, when you reach out to a new client, or even just show up consistently, what you're doing is you're laying a foundation to build upon. And most importantly, you're proving to yourself that you're the person that follows through. And whenever we begin to prove to ourselves that we are this type of person that we can trust to follow through, we are building the confidence that is required to get to our next level. So yes, small wins aren't just progress markers, they're confidence builders. Every time you show up, even in the smallest of ways, you strengthen the part of your brain that believes that you're fully capable. Self-trust is the root of sustainable success in an area. There is a roadblock on the path to collecting small wins, and that roadblock is motivation. Most people wait to feel motivated before they act, but real achievers flip that script. They act before they feel anything. And the reason this is an important habit for you to adopt is because it is action that creates momentum. And small wins are the fastest way to generate the momentum you need. I heard the story about Marissa. Marissa was a writer who couldn't seem to get in her creative flow. Every time Marissa went to pick up the pen or to grab her computer and start typing, she would get distracted because she lacked the motivation to get started. And even when she had the motivation, she was like, okay, today I'm gonna write. She didn't have inspiration to actually put something down that was worth reading. And because she lacked the inspiration and the motivation, she just stopped writing altogether. One day she decided to make a change and she said, you know what? I'm just going to write for 10 minutes a day. I don't know if what I'm going to write is going to even be able to be used or not, but I have to get my momentum going. Within 3 weeks of writing 10 minutes a day, she was writing for an hour a day. Within 6 weeks of writing an hour a day, she had written 3 chapters. And it didn't start with a roaring fire, it started with a spark. Writing 10 minutes a day allowed the next step, writing an hour a day, to begin to feel doable. When you celebrate small wins, your brain releases the dopamine, which is the chemical reward system that makes you want to do it all over again. This means that momentum isn't just emotional, it's neurological. So never underestimate the power of doing something small consistently. If I start hitting my hand, right now, I feel no pain. But if I continue this motion of hitting my hand second after second, minute after minute, hour after hour, day after day, my hand is going to bruise because the power isn't just in the action, it is in the consistency of the performance of it. And here's where things get deeper. Small wins don't just move you forward in one area, they build a ripple effect that changes the way you show up in other areas of your life. It's a mindset shift that builds the proper foundation for who you are. Let's say you start waking up 30 minutes earlier. That small win leads to you having more time to plan your day. It leads to you feeling less rushed. It leads to you moving throughout your day more calm. It might lead to you showing up more present in your meetings for the day. It might lead to you making better decisions. And the reason for the positive result is because you started your day feeling more aligned as opposed to feeling chaotic. And all of it happened from one small shift. I'm gonna get up 30 minutes earlier. And I want you to kill the notion that success is about some massive effort. Success isn't about the massive effort. It is about the daily alignment. And if you can stack enough aligned days, you're going to change your trajectory in an area. This is how we shift from perfection to progress. Most people give up when it's messy, but those who focus on small wins, they keep going because they understand it's not about being perfect. It's about not quitting. I heard the story about Marcus, who was an aspiring speaker. Marcus had the dreams of speaking in front of crowds, but he was terrified of public speaking. He would watch others do it and go, man, I wish I had the confidence to do that. An old study said that public speaking is the greatest fear that people have. And the fear of public speaking was put before death, which means that people would rather die than give a speech to somebody. But Marcus had this dream and he wanted to build a brand, but he didn't know where to start. One day, he went to sit in the crowd of his mentor David's keynote address. David laid that crowd out, boy. He finished his 20-minute speech to a rousing applause and a standing ovation. Afterwards, Marcus went to David and said, David, I want to do what you do, but I don't even know where to start. David looked at Marcus and said, okay, this is what you do. Record one 60-second video every day. Don't post it. You can if you want to, but just record it. Marcus was like, record a video that nobody's going to see? 60 seconds? He said, yeah, just record the video. It doesn't matter if you post it or not. Marcus started this process of recording a 60-second video every single day. And notice that the more he did it, the more his confidence grew. Eventually, Marcus went from recording 60-second videos that no one would see to posting it on social media. When he posted it on social media, others began to watch. When others began to watch, he built a following. And before you knew it, Marcus had booked his first paid gig. One small win a day changed the trajectory of his entire career. So what about you? How do you begin to build a life around small wins? The first thing you do is set micro goals. Instead of writing a book, set the goal of writing 200 words a day. This is my objective. Instead of get fit, Set the goal that I'm going to walk 8,000 steps a day. Number 2, track your wins. If you're on a fitness journey, there's all kinds of apps that'll track it for you. But if you're not into that, have a journal where you can begin to write down your small wins every day. Number 3, celebrate progress. When you complete a task, pause to acknowledge it. This rewires your brain to crave that feeling of follow through. Next, reward effort, not just the outcome. Build a habit of praising yourself for showing up, even if the result wasn't perfect, even if the workout was ugly and you were struggling. And lastly, share your wins. Not to everybody, but find someone who you know will be supportive and tell them about your progress. Here's the final mindset shift that I want to leave you with. The people who build extraordinary lives, they don't just dream big, they execute small. They aren't waiting for the lightning strikes. They're lighting matches every day. And eventually it is those matches that create the wildfire. And if you don't get anything else from this video, get this. Never underestimate the power of today's effort. In the 1970s, there was a young salesman that started his first job at IBM. He wasn't the most charismatic. He didn't have the strongest resume. In fact, on his first day, he was terrified and convinced that he would be fired within a week. So he made himself a deal. Just one call. I'm going to do one call. I'm going to have just one conversation every day. He didn't aim to be the top seller. He didn't try to land the biggest accounts right away. He focused on showing up, making small improvements, and celebrating little wins. A return phone call, a meeting scheduled, a polite maybe instead of a harsh no. And what he did is he had an empty cup and a box of paper clips. And every time he had a small win, he would throw a paper clip into the empty cup. Every time he made a call, paper clip in the cup. Nothing fancy, no secret formula, just a habit. Years later, that man became one of IBM's most successful salespeople, and he credited his success not to his talent, but to the paper clips. He credited his success to the visual reminder that progress happens one win at a time. Because while others were chasing the spotlight, he was building something sustainable, something steady, and something real. So what's your version of a paperclip cup? And what's one small win that you can begin to stack today? I know it doesn't feel like much right now, but over time, one action, one moment, one I showed up anyway at a time, you're building something powerful. Not just success, but resilience, an identity, a life that you're proud of. Let your small wins speak louder than your doubts, because in the end, they're not small at all. They're the unsung heroes of your success. Always remember that growth is a journey. It's not a destination. I'm in it with you, and I'll see you on the next.